Today's guest believes that medicine isn't just found in the exam room, it's found in education. Dr. Veronica Gagovic is a board certified gastroenterologist, founder of the Colon Health Project, and the reigning Mrs. Bosnia International 2026. Every day, she combines science, compassion, and communication to help people understand one simple truth. Colon cancer is one of the most preventable cancers when caught early. Whether she's performing life-saving procedures, creating educational videos that have reached actually hundreds of thousands of people, speaking in her community, or even writing a children's book about digestive health, Veronica is proving that prevention starts long before someone becomes a patient. So today we're going to talk about more than just colon cancer. We're talking about using your expertise to serve, why prevention is one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves, and how one person with a passion for education can change thousands of lives. You're listening to Act to Impact with Brandi DeVries. Through heartfelt stories of resilience, hope, and community, I share my personal experience as a longtime advocate and fundraiser for the national nonprofit Children's Cancer Research Fund. Invite pediatric cancer families to tell their stories and highlight individuals who Welcome to Act to Impact, listeners. Thank you for being here today and listening to my conversation with Veronica. But before we jump into today's conversation, I just want to thank everyone for listening, for being here. It's almost been 2 years of Act to Impact, and we are still continuing to grow. And we want to continue to grow, but that doesn't happen without your help. And so please listen and then share and write a review to help me grow this community and help us inspire people all over the world together to take action in their own lives. So my challenge for you listeners today is, before this episode is over, think of one person who needs to hear it. Hit share, and that one simple action could help change or even save their life. Let's get started. Welcome to Act to Impact, Veronica. I'm so excited that you're here today.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Brandi.
And I feel like conversations with people like you, who I have met through pageantry, I just get really jazzed up about putting your interview together, because there are a lot of things that we talk about with pageantry, things that I see online, but then there's things that we haven't talked about. So this gives me an opportunity to hear it right from you in case I missed anything that you've mentioned on your amazing social media platform that you're growing, which we're definitely going to talk about that. I think it's kind of crazy too that you're going to be competing for Mrs. International in a couple days, and you are going to be at the pageant when this interview is airing. Didn't it feel like ages ago and now it's here?
Yeah, I mean, maybe in terms of timeline, it was just last year, but how much change and how much growth has happened since that time for me personally and to my platform. I mean, it feels like it was 10 years of work in 10 months. It's incredible.
And when I first met you, I feel like I was just naturally drawn to you because, one, you have a wonderful personality. You are so kind, but also you can see like the purpose and the passion that you have. And so I love to see your growth from when I first met you, probably in 3 years ago now is when I
Yeah.
first met you, through somebody who is from North Dakota and also competed in the international system as a miss. And so that's kind of fun too on how we met. But you have just grown so much since then on what you're on advocating for colon cancer and prevention and what you are building. And I cannot wait for listeners to get to know you more, just like I've gotten to know you the last 3 years. I also believe that you have such an interesting story that started long before medicine and pageantry. So would you mind sharing a little bit about what you were like growing up in Bosnia and what led to your family to come to the United States, and ultimately how those experiences shaped you into the physician and woman and mom that you've become today?
So I was just a regular kid growing up in Bosnia, just like another child here in America. And then we had the Civil War in the 90s, and after losing my father in the war, and after pretty much losing the life that I knew, I turned 18 after working as a NATO translator to help support my family through my teen years, since my mother, couldn't do that. After that, I came to America with $600 in my pocket and a dream. And I was here by myself, and I worked, hard, and I've been blessed to fulfill that dream of becoming a gastroenterologist. But my greatest accomplishment is my family. My husband, my children, the family that I lost in the war that was broken apart. I was able to rebuild that, and they are the motivation behind everything I do, including this pageant, including my platform, including my day to day. And I was blessed to bring the rest of my family, my mother and my brother here. My mother is in my day to day. She's my best friend and cancer survivor. And my brother has 3 children, a beautiful wife in Chicago, and is a very successful banker. So, we are very blessed with everything.
All right, let's jump back to current day now. And obviously, we're going to talk about your advocacy. But before we do that, I'd love to get listeners to know you a little bit more outside of
Yeah.
your background and coming to the United States. Tell me about a recent proud moment, completely unrelated to pageantry or your work or your platform, that you are proud of.
I would have to say it's my son Luke. He has motor speech apraxia, and he is a child that has, since the age of 2, fought really hard for everything. And this is a kid that just got straight A's, scored top in his math. They take that annual testing for aptitude, and he is he's going through driver's ed. He's 15. I would have to say Luke. It's his consistency. It's his passion for everything in his everyday. That's what I'm proud of. And Chris and I were just talking about him, and we're like, this is the guy that's going to be taking care of us when we're in a nursing home. And we have 3 kids, and all of them are amazing, but this is the guy. This is the guy that's going to show up every day and make sure I get my food and my meds.
So, as we discussed in your intro, you are newer to the Mrs. Pageantry world, not necessarily stages, but Mrs. Pageantry. But what has surprised you the most since taking on the title of Mrs. Bosnia International?
Well, what surprised me is, I'm going to go back to act to impact, how much impact one person can make in a short period of time when they have a passion and when they have a drive. It all started for me 15 years ago when I became a gastroenterologist. And it's just since I've been Mrs. Bosnia International that I have had that stage. I've had that microphone where I can broadcast my message. It's something that I've been consistently doing since I took over my reign, in a more passionate way. But it really became real just a few months ago when a woman approached me at one of my public appearances, and she gave me a hug, and she told me that it was my message during one of my lectures here locally in the community that got her to have a screening colonoscopy finally. And she had no symptoms. And she now is in remission from her stage 1 colon cancer.
Wow.
So I know that really brought it home. And since then, I've had multiple people approach me in public. I've had DMs through my social media, from various countries, not just the United States. People from England, from Australia have been messaging me, and that kind of scares you a little bit because you're like, wow, whew, I can't go to sleep tonight. I got to keep doing this every day, all day, and it just lit such a fire under me. Time is precious, and every moment that I've had of this year, I've used to really spread my message. And we're just getting started. Was that impact that you can make?
And as a practicing physician, you're already educating patients on a, daily, weekly basis that it's part of your job. But somewhere along the way that shifted, right? Whether it was before you decided to enter Mrs. International, but there was some point that you must have realized like your impact just didn't have to stop or start when your patients walked in and out of your office. So, what was the moment that really inspired you to create the colon health project? And why did you feel this message needed to reach more people just beyond your clinic walls?
Yeah. So, as a doctor, like you said, I've been working with patients one on one. But last year, someone I love was diagnosed with colon cancer. And because I knew the signs, because I knew what to look for, I was able to get them in early, and we caught it early. It was a couple of weeks after that that I was in clinic and I saw a mother of 4 kids. She has had symptoms for 2 years, and she had not known what these symptoms could mean. She didn't know these were alarm symptoms, and that just changed me. That changed me, that encounter. I mean, I'd had encounters like that before, but never that dramatic
Mhm.
with that much time wasted. Be able to get help. That's when I decided I can't wait for them to come to see me in clinic. I have to go out and see them. I have to teach people. I have to educate them before they have symptoms. They have to know these things. Sometimes it shocks you that people don't know something because it's a part of your day to day. You're like, this is my reality. I see, the rectal bleeding, this is what it means. But people don't know that. And
Mhm.
that's when things changed. That's when I formed the Colon Health Project. That Colon Health Project is my foundation that has the goal of education and teaching people how to recognize signs. And, I encourage prevention, early detection, but also the real heart of that is the heart of my foundation is funding patients undergoing cancer treatment, which is something I got intimately, I intimately got to know last year when my close friend was undergoing treatment. So yeah, that's what we do. And it's been amazing.
So that woman that came in and
Hmm.
had symptoms for 2 years,
Hmm.
what was she ignoring, and what finally prompted her to come see you?
Well, she was having the classic symptoms, the rectal bleeding, changes in bowels, abdominal pain. And when she started to lose weight is when she realized that this is just not just my irritable bowel disease. This is not just my hemorrhoids. This is something more.
Why do people ignore the signs and not come in? Is it denial? Is it financially they don't feel like they can afford to see a doctor? What's holding people back?
Well, that's actually a great question. Some people say I'm too young for cancer. There's no way I could be that person. This is an old person's disease. Other people think, they rationalize, it is the irritable bowel disease. It's hemorrhoids, it's stress. And some people are just scared of finding out what could be wrong with them. And that's where I tell people, let's get this figured out together. It's better we do it today than in a year. It's going to be much easier to treat and much better outcome, even if it's the worst case scenario. I always reassure patients, but I prepare them. When I have these folks that come in a clinic, I'm like, this could be the worst case scenario, but if it is, this is what we do. And I explain the steps and I keep abreast of their progress. Every time I diagnose a cancer, I don't just send the person to the cancer specialist or surgeon. Everyone gets my phone number, my cell phone number, my direct line, and they text me, message me. If there's a question that they have that another doctor can't answer, I will answer it because I know what it's like to be scared. I know what it's like not to know, to wait for that answer. I don't want my patients to go through that. They already are going through enough stuff just dealing with cancer.
You hosted for the first time this year the Blue Ribbon Charity Gala.
So fun.
Oh,
Oh my
someday.
God. Yes, yes. I actually got a fashion show on 3rd of October for survivors, and that's going to be awesome. So I'll send you stuff about that as well.
I love to
But
hear about
that's
that.
we're going to have 2 annual fundraising events. One of them is always going to be the Blue Ribbon Gala, which is during the Colon Cancer Awareness Month. And then we're going to have a fall fashion show. And the reason I do this also, it's kind of convenient in March and October because those months are kind of like the months of seasonal depression for people here. So let's raise everybody up and have them get dressed up for something fun, something to look forward to,
Yep.
especially when you're dealing with cancer or you have just undergone it. But the Blue Ribbon Hope Gala was done in March, and we did that primarily to, teach people about prevention and early detection. It's during Colon Cancer Awareness Month specifically. And then we also did it as a fundraiser. That's where we collected about $10,000. And that was meant for a particular patient with metastatic cancer, another young person with children, and they couldn't pay for their deductible. Health insurance is a fortune. Individual deductibles are $10,000. And especially if you're going out of system for some second opinions, and we were able to collect all that money so she doesn't have to worry about her medical bills for the year. And that was wonderful. I was so proud of our community and everyone that pitched in, and I was just blown away by the generosity. So, and since that time, we've actually collected another $15,000 without even a gala from individual donations of people that are survivors and families of survivors, caretakers, and individuals in the community that are just generous. And of course, there's a bit of money for my book as well
Mhm.
that we included in that. So
Yeah.
that's all been already distributed to patients.
Yeah, so talk about that children's book because I don't think that most people would maybe immediately connect a children's educational
No,
book with
mm-mm.
colon cancer prevention. Why did you decide to start teaching the healthy habits so early in life to these young people? And what can parents do also to begin today to help their children build better digestive habits and could benefit them from years and years from now?
So, when you think about colon cancer today, who do I see it in? The fast growing aggressive cancers in people under 50. The people that are born in the 90s have a four times the chance of getting rectal cancer, two times the chance of getting colon cancer compared to someone born in the 1950s. So these are young people. How did they get cancer? What is there in their life that we could change? How is somebody that's never had a family history of colon cancer now afflicted by this? What is the one thing that we put in our bodies that changes our microbiome and the bacteria that controls everything? Is food, fiber, vegetables. So, when we think about back to the 90s, this is a time when we used to bring ho-hos for lunches and, junk food because that's just what we did. 90s and 80s babies were the ones that are kind of, well, I'm 70s baby, so
We could never tell.
but that's what connects us, and that's the thing that we can modify and control. So if we can start building the microbiome, that good bacteria early in childhood, that will change what happens later on. And that's why I thought to a children's book, because when you think about what kids like to eat, it's like, hey, I want a Happy Meal because I get a toy, or I want the hot dog or the pizza or the pasta. That's all they eat sometimes, and just try and encourage them to just put in a vegetable on a plate, or have a slice of a watermelon or an apple. That is huge. I mean, it doesn't have to mean that all they eat is healthy. They can have fun stuff too, but we need to start early. And my book never mentions the word colon cancer or polyp or anything like that, but in a fun way. It just goes into the body and describes physiology and anatomy in a really fun, kid-friendly way. So, and that's actually the first in my series. I'm actually working on a second book that talks about all habits that lead to cancer, including exercise, stress. So all of that's going to be in my second book, which I'm now in the process of writing.
That's exciting. So you
Yeah.
always you always just have stuff that you're keeping up and working on. And I love that. So
It's fun. That's the one thing, yes, I'm a gastroenterologist, so yes, I'm a scientist, but I am so artsy and I'm not very talented in art. I actually kind of terrible. My daughter is an awesome artist. She's my 10-year-old. But I'm constantly doing something. I'm constantly either writing or drawing or making soaps. I'm just one of those moms. I'm the
mhm.
Etsy, like failed Etsy mom. It's the Timu version of Etsy.
This has stuck out to me a couple times. I think I've saw you talk about it on social media and you already mentioned it, but there is this big misconception that colon cancer is an old person's diagnosis, right? But there are
Right.
as you mentioned, a lot of younger people being diagnosed. So talk more about you alluded to it a little bit, but what is changing? And then let's talk more about some of those symptoms or early warning signs that people shouldn't ignore, regardless of their age. If they think they're too young for this disease, they need to pay attention to these things.
Yeah. So what's changed? Like you said, it's not an old person's disease anymore. It's young people that are getting afflicted by this. And, like I said, we're saying it's diet, it's the fact that we have sedentary lives, we're on our screens, all of the above. But why then are people with no family history that are like super healthy, vegan, getting colon cancer? There's something we're missing. We're missing links. Scientists are aware of this. There is stuff that we still don't know. So because of that, we have to pay special attention to our bodies. Yes, we can live the healthy life, eat the right food, and do everything, but we still have to listen to our body. First things first, always make sure you get your colonoscopy on time. That's 45 average risk. It's not 50 anymore. And some doctors even are catching up with these guidelines. Still, it's 45. And if you have a family history, it's even earlier. So make sure you look at your family history, talk to your family, your mom, dad, sister, brother, etc. Plan accordingly or talk to your doctor accordingly. If you're not sure if your doctor is saying the right thing, just go on the internet, go on ChatGPT, go on Google, find out. Second, most important, or even more important, listen to your body. Listen to the symptoms, the early signs. Sometimes it can be really subtle. It can just be, here I am having some intermittent belly pain, and I'm not sure where it's coming from. Sometimes we can eat the wrong thing and get some belly pain, but if things are persistent, they just don't make sense, and you're now not sure what's going on with you, go see a doctor or go talk to your doctor. Of note, most insurances let you see a specialist without having to go through your primary. So patients will come and see me directly, just self-referral. So you don't have to take that extra step by most insurances. Just go in, and most gastroenterologists will be cautious and they will do the right thing, do the colonoscopy if need be. So symptoms: intermittent or persistent rectal bleeding, changes in your bowel. So if your bowel is, a little bit thin, we call that pencil thin stool. If you're having a little diarrhea, a little constipation that's persistent and different than usual, intermittent belly pain, weight loss, bloating, any of those things, or even if it's just something completely off, like you're feeling tired and you're not sure, that might be anemia. Iron deficiency anemia is the first symptom usually of colon cancer because colon cancer bleeds slowly. Sometimes you can't even see it in the stool. So just some things to keep in mind is sometimes iron deficiency anemia can be really tricky. It can present like something like, now you're losing hair, like you feel like your hair's thinned out. Well, maybe it's not your hormones. Maybe it is iron deficiency anemia. You should check your iron. Or you're having, restless leg syndrome. You're feeling a little bit more tired or more winded going up the stairs. You might have anemia. So all those are subtle clues that can sometimes mean something more than just a symptom.
Something else that I hear people who are getting colonoscopies, everybody complains about the what they have to do to prepare for the colonoscopy
Yeah.
and how horrible it is. And it tastes bad and you have to be close to the toilet. What do you say to those people that are putting off a colonoscopy just because of the maybe a little bit uncomfortable pre-work that goes into
Ah,
before you prep for that colonoscopy?
so I try to kindly explain exactly all the steps that go in, but a couple of friends of mine that have had cancer, I will say, well, a bag's much worse. You know what I'm saying? But I try to explain, it's really not that bad. We've reduced the liquid to half of what it was. It's one day of your life. I mean, one day for a preventable cancer that could ruin your life down the road. I mean, gosh, I would rather have a colonoscopy any day than do a mammogram. Personally, I still get my mammogram every year, but at least I'm sleeping for the colonoscopy.
That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right. So, if listeners only remember three things from today's episode about protecting their colon health, what would you want those three things to be?
So, first of all, make sure you get your screening. Like I said, check that family history, make sure you're doing that on time and listen to your body. Number two, feed your gut the right things. Get that fiber in. Fiber, 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 whatever way you can. 25 grams for women, 32 grams for men. It's not as easy as it sounds, but think about this, like 2 tablespoons of chia seeds are like 10 grams of fiber. So, yeah, that's your half fiber in your oatmeal in the morning. So, you can do it. And it is like taking medicine, literally. You're supposed to get like something like 30 vegetables in a week that are different. I think most people get 8 to 10. So, try your best. I know every day is not going to be perfect if you're on the road and if you're doing things, you're busy at work, but just keep that in mind. Just like you worry about getting your protein in, worry about getting that fiber. And that's huge. And number three, move your body. Try to exercise. If you can't go to the gym every day, if you're somebody that's unable to do heavy lifting or even, run, take a little walk after dinner for 10 minutes. Do 10 squats an hour. That's what they say, doing 10 squats an hour in an 8-hour workday is the equivalent of doing a 30-minute walk at the end of the day. So if you don't have time to walk, just get up and down, do gentle squats every hour, if medically able to, of course. So move your body. That's huge. There's actually data behind activity and cancer.
I have to talk about your Instagram page too, because I am just so amazed at how you've been able to grow it from like 0 to over 100,000 followers in a year.
That's
I
just
think
6
it's
months.
6 months. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. It's
That's crazy.
crazy.
I know,
So,
it's been so fun.
yeah, but and it's been fun to watch it grow. So what is it about your message that resonated with people, do you think, that made it take off so quickly?
I think people are just hungry for knowledge. They wanna know, and, people wanna be healthy. They wanna live long, quality lives, and what I've learned is that sometimes we doctors tend to talk in, very technical terms, and it's kind of boring. I try to make my content fun, engaging, and I try to just bring it, at a level where a normal person can understand. Normal, I mean, I feel I'm normal, but a regular person can understand it. Be that a kid that's 18 or a 40-year-old or 60-year-old. I try to make it so it's approachable. So I think that message really sticks with people.
Is there a message or a comment or a story from someone specifically that you can share that they saw your message, it prompted them to get screened and checked, and it ended up changing or saving their lives, and they then told you about it?
Yeah, actually, a lot of messages that I've gotten, and some people DM me, but a lot of people leave it in the comment section. And it's kind of cool that they are comfortable doing that because that makes other people look at that and say, hey, this is real. Let me do this. It's just so amazing that they do that. I am so grateful. And it's not just colon cancer. I actually posted something that was doing melanoma awareness. And there was one person in the comments just from a couple of hours ago that said, hey, by the way, I had something on my foot that I have had forever, and it's actually melanoma, and we removed it. So thank you for your comment. And in that same thread, I had someone saying, why are you scaring me with this? And then I said, just look at the comment above you. And he's like, oh, yeah, never mind.
Mhm.
So I'm like, just one comment like that, it just makes it all worthwhile because you're like, I have not even by ever physically meeting this person who is not even in the same country as me, saved their life, kind of,
Mhm.
And it just, like I said, it just is almost scary how powerful social media is. And I'm just so in awe that people are actually listening to the message that I'm sending. And I'm just so grateful because I hope that we just grow this platform even further.
Mhm. Well, yeah, and I mean, obviously, you're proving that the social media is powerful, and people are using positive comments, but there's also those people out there, because people are full of opinions, that maybe not all the comments or opinions are positive. If and as many followers as you have now and as many comments as you're getting, I'm sure there's one or two that are not positive. So how do you handle any criticism or misinformation even that other people might be commenting to your posts about, without losing the sight of your real mission? And yeah, what advice do you give to people who want to use social media for good like you are, but also maybe are afraid of being judged?
Yeah. So, for the first part of your question, how do I respond to criticism and misinformation? I would have to say, like a queen with grace. You have to be graceful, and you have to be kind. And people are usually not coming from a negative place. They're just coming from a place of fear, lack of knowledge sometimes. So I try to answer and always appreciate their opinion, but give them scientifically backed data in a kind way. And most of the time, people will understand and they will respond positively. So, and that, frankly, the further I go, the less of those comments I get. Initially, when I was just starting, you have to build trust. Like with anything in life, consistency equals trust. So the more I'm posting and the more my message gets out there, the less negativity there is, and the more people are just kinder and kinder. So it's that in that sense, it's been just amazing seeing that change. As far as your second question, how should somebody start if they want to do it? Just start. Just do it. You're not going to be perfect. In fact, some of the stuff I posted originally, I mean, I still have it on my page for a reason because I want to see how far, I've come. It's kind of cringe, honestly. I I was so I'm like, my kids even just like, "Mom, this is so boring." I talked really slow into the camera, and I had my full head of makeup and hair done. I was just perfect. And I'm like, you can't talk like that to people. They're going to be bored. They're going to scroll right past your page and you're not going to get your message across. So I worked really hard to refine my message. And it took me a lot of posts, and I'm still learning to get to where where I'm right now. But like I said, I still have a long way to learn. In fact, in November, I was hand selected for a health influencer conference in Princeton University. It's basically a conference where we're going to be taught by world renowned social media experts and marketing experts on how to battle misinformation online and get our message even further spent. So I feel like after November, once I learn these skills, I'm going to bring them back to my platform, back to my audience, and I feel like that's when the real growth will happen.
Mhm. One thing I really admire about you is that you could just simply be a physician and be like, okay, I'm calling it a day in the clinic, whatever. But instead, you really are tapping into some of these gifts and the personal experiences that you have had, and you're using them to become an educator, a speaker, author, fundraiser, advocate, you name it, all the things that you're doing right now. And I think that you are really a great example of someone who is using the ACT method and putting it into practice to make an impact. I mean, this is the ACT to impact way that I am trying to help more people show that they can do this too, and you're doing it. So what has pageantry taught you about using your voice and your skills and your experiences in a way that you can't do just by practicing medicine alone?
Well, that's a great question. So, as a doctor, you're reaching patients one on one, you're educating them. But as Mrs. Bosnia International, my platform is just by default. I'm representing a whole country. So, my voice speaks from a much larger place, much larger platform. And, it's taught me to use the power of personal story, of my experiences to turn that into a message. And people respond to that when you're a storyteller and you have a platform and you have a powerful voice, it resonates with people and it echoes. And that's what Miss International has taught me, that I have a voice and that voice has a message. And that message will echo with people as long as I show up consistently, keep doing the work, just like anyone else can.
So we are going to do, if you're up for it, just like a little bit of a lightning round competition or
Okay.
a lightning round competition. It's a competition between just you.
You got it.
We're going to do lightning round. And I've never done this with a guest before, but I thought it would
You
be
bet.
kind of fun. Tell me whether basically these are true or false.
Hmm.
Colonoscopies are always painful.
Totally false. Completely 100% false.
Only people over 50 need screenings.
Completely.
Diet can really change colon cancer risk.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Fun. That was just short, sweet,
Yes,
and
there you
snappy.
go.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And basically, that was all little like reminders of things that we had talked about. So, if people didn't
Yeah.
catch them earlier, now they know.
Yeah. Colonoscopy is completely painless. There's no pain fibers in your colon. So when you remove those polyps, you should not feel that at the end. If you have pain through your colonoscopy, then you have the wrong doctor.
Mm.
Make sure you get a board certified gastroenterologist or someone that has a lot of experience doing your procedure. Don't be going to a person that does it a part-time basis. You should never have pain with a colonoscopy. You should be sleeping like a baby and have the best nap of your life, in fact. I will guarantee that for my patients.
As we wrap up, Veronica, for people listening who want to make a difference and to take meaningful action in their own communities, what advice would you give them?
So we all have things that we care about, but to make a real difference, you have to find something that breaks your heart, and learn everything you can about it. And then just get out there and teach other people. And those other people are then going to tell their families and their friends about what they've learned. And that's where that ripple, where that echo goes through a community. And that's when you make change. And that's when you save lives in some cases.
Well, thank you so much for being with me today on Act to Impact and reminding all of us that some of the greatest acts of service happen long before there's even ever a diagnosis. And so through your work, you're giving people something powerful, which is the knowledge that they need to take charge of their health before it's too late. So I'm grateful that you shared your story and your expertise with me today. Thank you again for making a difference, being a shining example of the ACT formula, the impact you're making, and best of luck at Mrs. International 2026.
Thank you, Brandi. Appreciate you having me here.
You've been listening to Act to Impact with Brandi DeVries. If this show ignited your fire and inspired you to take action to make an impact, please share this episode with a friend, leave a 5-star review, or write a review to let others know how the show impacted you. I can't wait to see the action you are taking to make an impact, and I'd love for you to share that with our community. Go ahead and tag me on social media as you are out making an impact in the world. Do you have a story to share and want to be a guest on Act to Impact? I'd love to connect with you.